Super Rugby Power Rankings, folks, for the Pacific season 2022. Currently, I've got the board divided into two parts. We've got AU and NZ. I figure we'll do separate power rankings for the two sides of the competition to start with. And if we do get some Trans-Tasman games, we can kind of merge the two together into an overall table. But it's probably not fair to do an overall table when the teams are still so separate, because it's maybe going to give us a false idea. But anyway, if you don't know what the power rankings are, we're kind of ranking teams based on their performances as an alternative to the actual table, where we're looking at maybe some different factors like, did you win home or away? Did you beat what's supposed to be a strong team, or did you beat a weak team? So for example, if you were to go and beat the Crusaders away from home, I would rank that more than maybe if you beat the Rebels when you're at home. Just as an example, I feel like that's kind of fair. And we also look more at the more recent results to give more weighting than old results. But at this point of the season, we're only one game in, so it's kind of all the same. We're going to start at the bottom of the Aussie Conference, the 6th ranked team, and it's probably going to be no surprise that we put the Drua there after their first game against the Tars. They got a bit of a hiding. I think I saw enough in that game to say that the Drua will get better, some kind of skills errors that I don't think they'll be making in a few weeks' time. With some more game time under their belt, more play time together, I feel like there's the potential for these guys to go a lot higher. But as it stands, one game in with their big loss, we have to rank them 6th. And for the New Zealand Conference, because there's two teams that didn't play, I've kind of had to put them on 0. So rather than kind of a negative result, which means we end up with the Highlanders. Because they lost their game against the Chiefs. They lost by 10 points. And the Chiefs do look a pretty decent team. It was a neutral venue, so how much weighting do we give that? It's a bit of an awkward one, but after one result, we're chucking the Highlanders in there. I'm not sure that that's fair. Probably not. I would say Moana Pasifika is actually probably going to be 6th, but we haven't seen them play other than preseason, so we will reserve judgment until we see them actually get underway, which is not going to be this week either, because their game against the Chiefs is not going to go ahead. The 5th ranked team for the Aussie Conference, probably also no surprise, it's the Rebels. The Rebels went to Queensland. They got the defeat they were expected to get. It maybe wasn't as big a scoreline as some people predicted, but it was also by no means a close scoreline. So, the Rebels pretty well beaten in some difficult conditions in that one. But, we'll see if they can kind of progress throughout the season as well. Still very early days. 5th place for the New Zealand Conference, we're going to chuck in the Hurricanes. Now, admittedly, they lost to the Crusaders. They could have gotten absolutely kind of walloped at one point, but they did manage to show some good fight back to come back towards the tail end of the match. So likewise, I am by no means writing the Hurricanes off. I even spoke to my old man the other day, and he's been really critical of the Hurricanes, but even he said he was actually kind of eating some words based on what he saw against the Crusaders, and he seems to think they're going to be doing actually pretty decent. 4th place in the Aussie Conference, it's the Force. The Force lost to the Brumbies. Remember, it was also away from home, and that was a close game. That was actually legit one of my favourite games of the weekend. Was it my favourite? I don't know. I really enjoyed that game. There was a lot to like about it. It was close. It was kind of seemingly wrapped up at the death by the Force, but then the Brumbies came back with a late strike. So really, really entertaining game. If you haven't watched that one, you should definitely go check out the highlights, because it was genuinely a very fun game, and the Force looked pretty good, even if they couldn't quite snatch the win. 3rd and 4th in the New Zealand Conference, I'm just going to chuck Moana Pasifika and the Blues there, because they didn't play. They were supposed to play. I do believe if the Blues had played Moana Pasifika, they would have beaten them, and Moana Pasifika would be in 6th, and the Blues would probably be 2nd. But as I said, we didn't get to see a game. I could be well wrong. You never know. But chucking those guys there for now until we can get some game time. We're going to have to wait a wee bit longer to see Moana Pasifika in action, which is a pity, but we wish all the guys the best in their recovery from COVID. 3rd place in Australia, I'm going to chuck the Tars. They beat the Drua by the biggest margin of any team that won this week. but I still think the other two Aussie teams, I'm going to rank them higher for now. And teams are all so close at the moment because we've only seen one result that I'm going to put the Tars in third. Once we see them play somebody else, then we'll probably get a better idea of where they're at. Above them, I'm going to put the Brumbies. They weren't absolutely convincing against the Force, but as I said, they got the job done. And the Force, I think, have recruited pretty well, so they are by no means an easy beat. So you got to give the Brumbies some credit there. The Reds, I still think, based on what we've seen, are the favourites in the Aussie Conference. One game in is hardly enough time to get a real feel for that. But, yeah, Brad Thorne and his boys, very consistent squad. Yeah, it didn't exactly set the world alight against the Rebels, but did well enough for top spot in the power rankings. Chiefs, I have got 2 in New Zealand for their also kind of solid without being spectacular win over the Highlanders. They scored some pretty nice, well-worked tries and look like, my dad's calling them a dark horse. I don't think they're even dark horse. I think they're a genuine contender. And these guys, the Crusaders, are still probably going to be the team to beat. They'll be a bit concerned how many points they let in towards the end of that game. But boy, when those guys are going forward with the likes of Will Jordan just cutting teams to shreds, yeah, they do look at another level. But we will see. There's still a lot of rugby to be played. We're just one round in. The power rankings probably take, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 rounds to really start kind of feeling any differentiation between what we see on the table. I mean, that being said, the Waratahs, I haven't actually double checked, but they're probably top of the Aussie Conference with their massive win. But maybe that's one difference we get with the power rankings. So, yeah, you guys let me know what you reckon. If you combine these, where do you reckon the teams are at? If you don't consider a bye to be kind of a postponed game to be neutral, do you put these guys below? I mean, it's really hard to say with the Blues because we haven't seen them play. We did see the Moana Pasifika get smashed by the Chiefs in preseason, which makes me think they are going to be towards the tail end. But every week they've got to prep should be another step forward in their own development. So we will see. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.